everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Jayson.
Today, Jayson and I are going to tell you how we felt about the first 8 episodes of Power Rangers Beast Morphers. The first 8 have dropped on Netflix. The first season is going to be a full 20, and we thought we'd go ahead and do how we felt about it, and maybe do a little bit of spoilers at the end. It's not a full season, but we've been waiting for this for a while and have been kind of wanting to talk about it, so maybe we'll do a video when the second half drops, and I'm sure we'll probably do that if there's enough interest in this. I saw the pilot when it came out, and didn't keep going with it. I was waiting for Netflix, but I liked the pilot a lot. I was really excited about this show. Jayson has now seen it. And so he'll tell us how he feels about it as well. Like I said, we'll do a little bit of non-spoiler, and then we'll do some spoilers toward the end. Jayson, can you tell us a little bit about Beast Morphers? What is the basic premise, and what's it like compared to other Power Ranger shows?
Okay, so the first thing is, it is the first show that Hasbro did. Hasbro took over Saban, and this is the first show that they're going to be making.
Yeah, that's right, and I assume that it was in production for a while before Hasbro bought Saban, so it's hard to say how much that's affecting the beginning of this show. I think the real tell is going to be the second season, because of course Power Ranger shows still, apparently, I was talking to Eric about this earlier, and I didn't know this. Eric said that it was basically a mandate from Nickelodeon that they could only do 20 episodes a season. Because I assumed it was because of ratings and stuff. A couple of big firsts for this show. Hasbro is one, and the other one is, this is the first Power Ranger show that has gone back in time and grabbed footage from an older Sentai. I don't know if you knew that, but this is not the most recent Sentai. This goes back to one from 2012 that they never adapted.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew it was Go Busters, but I didn't know that was from 2012.
Yeah, it was back that far.
Wow.
And I remember being really disappointed. Thanks for reminding me that it was Go Busters. I was really disappointed when they didn't do that, because I thought those suits were kind of interesting, and I thought it might have like a Ghostbusters kind of motif, and that's not what they ended up doing with it. But can you tell us a little bit about the premise?
Yeah. So basically there's this big Cobra guy that's trying to take over the Morphin Grid. And so what happens is there's these 3 Rangers that are that they're going to make Power Rangers. 3 teenagers that they're going to make Power Rangers.
Because it has to be teenagers for some reason.
Yeah.
And I love that line where it's like, this technology would work great with teenagers. All right.
And then...
in merging DNA with animals.
Mm-hmm. To protect the Morphin Grid and whatever, and the world.
And what are they using the Morphin Grid for? Like, why do they need Power Rangers to protect it? Because they're not just using the Morphin Grid for Power Rangers anymore.
Yeah, they're also making, like...
renewable energy, right?
Morph-X.
Yeah. So it's basically corporate Power Rangers.
Yeah.
So we've done a lot of like government Power Rangers. That, as far as I can tell, it's supposed to be a corporation. There's a general that works there, so I'm a little confused on that.
Yeah.
But their Bulk and Skull work there, and their dad is a general that also works there. I don't know what's going on with that, but anyway. So the idea is they've tapped into the Morphin Grid, and they're going to use that for renewable energy for the whole city. And the mayor thinks that's a bad idea because some villain is going to show up and try to steal and try to steal the Morph-X and take over the Morphin Grid. And he comes around real fast.
And then they're like, "Oh, but we have Power Rangers in that." And then that guy's like, "Oh, okay, then let's do that."
We've got 3 Power... Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
As we're doing synopsis, we'll do a little bit of reviewing as we go. We're only giving away stuff for the pilot right now. If this is not the kind of show, the kind of Power Rangers concept where you only have a finite number of the thing that turns you into Power Rangers. So it's not like Power Coins. It's not like the Dino Gems and Dino Thunder. It seems to me that they could make as many Power Rangers as they want to. What is stopping them from making like 100 Power Rangers to protect the Morphin Grid? But he's like, oh, you got 3, so we're good. And it's not even the 3 originally that they were supposed to start with.
So what happens is they're going to make them Power Rangers, and then the Cobra monster guy comes in and like makes 2 of them like fall into a coma, and then they become evil duplicates.
Yeah, he makes digital duplicates of them. So he's from. This is all very convoluted, but it's kind of fun. He's from a digital dimension. They treat it like an alternate dimension, like you have a lot with Power Rangers, but apparently it's a digital one, and he's trying to get out of that dimension and take over the Morphin. Yeah, and then take over the Morphin Grid. Mm-hmm. And I love that right after the mirror is like some villain, just like Rita Repulsor or Sledge or someone, is going to come in and do this. And then immediately that's what happens. And 2 out of the 3 initial Rangers get duplicated, and those become the main minions of the show. And they're fun. I like them a lot. And they have great suits. They remind me of the Psycho Rangers. Just in principle, just in concept, not necessarily suits. But
and then a trespasser and a laundry girl take their places.
The other 2 spots. Mostly because they're the ones that aren't there, and they wind up in the machine, and so they become Power Rangers.
And then they fight the
But
duplicates.
I like that it's not all that. And by the way, we start with a 3-man team, which is somewhat unusual. We haven't, I think, done that in a really long time. But Dino Thunder did it. I always loved it in Dino Thunder. This starts with a 3-man team. Eventually, we'll get to 5.
Yeah.
And I like that all 3 of them aren't like outcasts or people that just aren't qualified to be Rangers. I like that one of the original Rangers gets to keep being a Ranger. Mm-hmm. And that's where some of the drama comes from. Somewhat forced drama, even for Power Rangers,
yeah.
But because he's
in love with one of
with Roxy.
With Roxy, yeah.
It's Roxy and
Ravi.
No.
And
Ravi is the actual Blue Ranger.
Yeah.
But,
Roxy and
what's the name of the other one? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, we'll find it.
It's something in Roxy. Blaze. His name is Blaze.
Blaze, that's it. Yeah, there you go. Thanks.
So. Blaze and Roxy, and so they fight the 2 minions, and then they get teleported. The minions get teleported to this alternate dimension, I'm pretty sure.
Or a place where there's a gateway to it.
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure where they are. I think maybe it is another dimension itself.
And then they find this other guy who's like crazy, and he starts working with them and starts making monsters and stuff. Giga drones and I don't know what they're all called, Tronics. And
yeah, that's the putties of the show.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about some of the mythology stuff and the technology and stuff here in a minute when we get into more spoiler territory. But let's just broadly talk about how we feel about this and what our best thing, worst thing is.
I think this was like a really great show because I know I've seen a couple episodes of Samurai Megaforce.
The more recent ones that just aren't great.
Yeah, and Hasbro just like made it really cool.
But we're not sure how much of it we can give to Hasbro yet.
Yeah, but this show is way better than like.
It is, and I'm not totally sure why that is.
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm also not sure if the things that it has in common with Transformers have anything to do with Hasbro, or if that's all because of the Sentai footage. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. There's a lot of Transformers in this.
So I think all the Rangers are pretty good actors. I'm not
For Power Rangers?
Yeah, for Power Rangers. I don't like the Bulk and Skull. I mean, I've never liked the Bulk and Skull of the shows.
Outside of Bulk and Skull, or do you not like them either?
I mean, I like them a little bit. I like Skull. I don't like Bulk.
So those scenes are not funny?
Yeah.
And you're not digging on that?
Some of the things are funny.
Yeah, but overall it's not great.
Yeah.
What do you think of the dynamic of the 3 main characters of the Rangers? And who do you think is the best Ranger, and who do you think, if there is one, is the weak link?
Of the first 3, the Red Ranger is the best Ranger.
I think indisputably. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah. Yellow Ranger second. And then
Ravi.
Ravi.
I don't think he's great. I don't think his acting caliber is up to snuff with the other 2.
Yeah.
And he has some weird line deliveries. Again, even for Power Rangers. What do you think of the bad guy? Got a giant snake monster. That's our bad guy. A digital snake guy who's basically a computer virus who's a snake.
He's amazing.
Oh, do you like him?
I really like him.
He's definitely the least generic bad guy we've had in like 5 shows.
He's like the Palpatine of that show.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's true most of the time, if you mean just in that he's in the background making, you know, his minions go do things, but I guess him even more so because, like, he's trapped.
He can't do anything.
Yeah.
He has to make other guys do stuff, which I really like about...
Especially because there's, like, a reason for it. It's like, why don't you just go do your own dirty work? Well, the whole point is he can't leave.
Yeah. And I really like the things that they try to do to bring him back.
Yeah.
Because it makes cooler stuff happen.
Yep.
Than bringing him back.
Well, what's your best thing, worst thing?
The best thing is probably the duplicates.
Yeah.
I really like...
You think that's a fun idea?
Yeah. And I really like the relationship between Roxy and Ravi. Because...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was actually kind of funny.
He just can't break the rules. Each of them have kind of that prevailing character trait that they all stick with. So he's like, I can't break the rules, and then
actually,
and then you have the thing with Zoe where she's like, I solve big problems.
Oh my gosh. And then there's I have another best thing.
What's that?
When Devin sees dogs, he freezes.
Okay, so you're getting into spoilers now. I wanted to do broad best thing, worst thing. We'll get into all that in just a couple minutes when we do more spoiler stuff. But some of the comedy you think is funny. What's the worst thing about the show?
The robot buddies.
I'm not the biggest fan of them either. Although their episode's okay.
Yeah.
When we actually when we give them an episode, it's all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give real quick, sort of non-spoiler. Go ahead and give me your sign. So you're feeling it. I'm feeling it too. Overall, I didn't think the rest of what we have so far, and of course more have aired now, but we've just watched up through 8. I didn't think the rest of what we had so far lived up to the pilot as much as I was hoping they would, but it didn't lose me. I didn't get bored with this show. After 4 or 5 episodes of the last one, I was kind of done. I was like, okay, you're just kind of spinning your wheels, and the spark is gone. Eric and I have talked about that a lot with Power Rangers. We're like, it's difficult to articulate, but there was a spark that we had through the Disney era up through RPM that is just gone now. And it's weird because Chip Lynn has continued to be involved, and it seems like he's not been able to do what he wants to do with these shows. And it seems like this one, we're getting more creative again, and we're trying some things, and we're maybe pushing some envelopes a little bit for Power Rangers, and it feels like people want to be here again. But we're only about halfway there, I think. And I think this show has every potential to become one of the better Power Ranger shows, but right now I think we're only about halfway there. I think part of the problem is casting, and like I said, I love Devin. I think he's fantastic, but the other two Rangers I don't think quite live up to him. Ravi even less so than Zoe. And I don't think that the potential of the premise is fully realized yet. My best thing is the premise. I think corporate Power Rangers is such a great idea. I love playing with the classic. Using great power with the best of intentions, but using that kind of Batman Begins escalation idea, where it's like, okay, we may have the right idea behind this, but if it gets in the wrong hands, you know, what happens if the big if the big powerful technology gets in the wrong hands? And there's like a little bit of social commentary there for a minute, but then at the end of the day, because it's the premise of the show, we kind of lose that and it becomes more, well, no, the Morphin Grid should be used for more than just Power Rangers. Like, if Zordon was here, like, Zordon is rolling in his grave right now, because he'd be like, well, the power is only supposed to be used for defense. You're only supposed to use it if a bad guy shows up and wreaks havoc and tries to hurt people, right? And this, the corporation in this says, no, we could use that renewable energy to make everyone's lives better. And they kind of break Zordon's first rule over and over again. You know, you don't use it for personal gain. And this is all about using the Morphin Grid for personal gain. I love putting the Morphin Grid at the center of the concept of the show in the first place. That's a thing that's become real big in the comics that, importantly, did not come up all that much in the original show because we didn't understand how the power worked at all. And a couple times Morphin Grid is said, and fans really latched onto that because we were trying to get any morsel whatsoever of how in the world this universe works, right? And now we're kind of connecting all the continuities together again, and sort of like Dino Thunder tried to do it, and saying, well, anytime there was a Power Ranger team, they always tapped into the Morphin Grid. And you can, if you could figure out how to tap into it, you could use it for more than just morphing. And so playing with the pros and cons of that, and just the ethics of it, whether or not that's a good idea, is fun. I wish we'd go farther with that, because there are a lot of things right at the beginning of this that feel really ethically ambiguous and like a bad idea to me, that get really funny. Like, yeah, let's just combine animal DNA with teenagers' DNA and not even ask their parents about it. There's nothing wrong with that. Sure, why not? Let's do that. So I thought that was really funny. Worst thing, this is a sad thing to say, I'm going to say so far, action. This is the most toyetic Power Rangers we've had in a long time. And of course, you have to give that more to the Sentai than anything. But this was a really fun one to adapt, and I'm really glad they went back and did it. These suits are unlike anything we've ever seen in Power Rangers. I love them. It doesn't look like a Power Ranger show, but I like that, because I like the juxtaposition of this feels like a very old school Power Ranger show to me, even while it's like corporate Power Rangers. But it also, it's kind of a nice blend of like, the Mighty Morphin, but there's a little bit of like, I don't know, Lightspeed Rescue or SPD in there. So I really like that.
There's some RPM. There's a lot of RPM.
There's a lot of RPM, you're right, in the mythology of it, right? In the explanations for how the technology is used, especially. So I love all that. That would maybe be tied for my best thing. But the problem is, they don't match it with the action. I've not seen a lot of great stunts in the show. And part of the reason you watch Power Rangers is to see some really cool karate and stunt work. And that's a thing that we usually nail even when the shows aren't good. And I haven't seen a lot of stuff that I would describe as spectacular, especially out of Morph.
There's way too many flips.
Yeah, but no, like, really super huge, exciting flips. I don't know. I haven't been real impressed with the action in this. I love the Megazord. I love the Zords in general. But anyway, overall, like I said, I am feeling it. Let's go ahead and get into spoilers a little bit and talk about some of the technology and the mythology stuff. So let's start with Megazords. Like I said, lots of firsts in the show, and some stuff that I've never really seen before in Power Rangers. This show, like I said, a lot of it feels more Kamen Rider to me. Like, the outfits are a little bit Kamen Rider-y, and we've got the main guy rides a motorcycle, which is Kamen Rider, but then it's his, actually, it's not a Megazord, though. It's not a Zord, is it? It's his robot body that turns into a motorcycle. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's that.
There's a lot of Transformers.
A lot of Transformers. We've got vehicles that turn into Zords that then come together to become the Megazord, as opposed to vehicles that are the Zords and just become a Megazord. So it's like three steps now. And the Zords all look awesome, both in their regular vehicle form and in their Zord form. But when they turn into Zords, they look like Megazords. They're bulky enough to be full-blown Megazords. So when they finally, it's not until like episode 5 that we finally form the whole Megazord, right? And when we finally form the Megazord, it is like almost Shogun bulky. Let me ask you just being a kid that still plays with toys, how much watching the show do you find yourself wanting the merchandise?
Pretty much. Like, a lot.
Yeah. What things look like the most fun stuff to play with? Because Power Rangers is a toy commercial, you gotta have this conversation.
Yeah. The Zords. I mean, of course, the Zords. But,
what about the Morphers and stuff like that? What about like the weapons and things that you would actually play with your person?
I really like I really like all the weapons because they look cool.
Yeah.
I really like the Cheetah Blaster, and I would get that.
I like all of the explanation with the super science of how everything works. There's no magic to the show at all. This is besides the Morphin Grid in the first place, if you want to call that kind of a magical entity, but it watches very science fiction to me. and it's kind of fun to finally have a straight up. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's precedent for this that I'm not thinking of, but this one, compared to a lot of other shows, feels like it's just technology and there's not any magic behind it. We do the same thing we do in RPM, where everything gets beamed to us.
I really like the weaknesses that the different characters have.
It's so hokey, though. Yeah, talk about that for a minute.
One of my favorite lines. So the Red Ranger.
Well, talk about the animals in the first place and how.
So the Red Ranger has cheetah DNA. The Blue Ranger has gorilla DNA. And the Yellow Ranger has Jackrabbit DNA.
Which I thought was so silly. And then I saw the Zord and I was like, nope, that's pretty cool. I like how it digs. It's pretty great. The whole weakness and extra powers thing is kind of interesting because they're not demorphed powers like in Dino Thunder, and we've done that in some other shows too. And some Power Ranger fans really hate this, right? Where the idea was always you have to morph to have powers, and so what is the point of morphing if you have powers when you're not morphed? This has individual powers for each of the Rangers, but they still can only do that stuff when they're morphed. So like the gorilla guy is really strong. And I don't know what Zoe does with her Jackrabbit power.
She's very agile.
Is she just agile? Just generically agile?
The Red Ranger, when they have like the special moves, he's always fast.
Yep.
Connor's fast in
Oh yeah, sure. You're saying Red Rangers in different shows tend to be fast, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. It's because they wear red like the Flash. Is that why?
I don't know.
But anyway, so it's kind of fun that we have that. But this again, this kind of a first, to my knowledge, where these powers also come with weaknesses, and the Red Rangers is just the silliest, hokiest thing.
So the Red Rangers,
and we kind of forget about it immediately. We don't keep bringing it up. And
they only do that in one episode.
They didn't do anything at the end of the episode to stop it, did they? Like, aren't those weaknesses still like they're supposed to be their kryptonite? Yeah. Like.
Yeah.
You know that's going to come back at some point.
They're probably going to, yeah. So Devin's weakness is he freezes when he sees dogs. And my favorite line is, why did I freeze when I saw that dog digging?
Yeah, it's really funny. We just looked at each other and we were like, what? That's amazing. And then he sees a picture of a dog when he's piloting his Megazord. Or when he's piloting his...
freezes.
Yeah. It's great. That's one of those things where everybody has to decide for themselves if it's just too stupid even for Power Rangers or if it's like comic gold. I thought it was closer to the comic gold side. I kind of like that. It's really funny.
And then the Blue Ranger's weakness is he gets like really mad at everyone.
Yeah.
And like he basically
to the
like
point where he starts firing on the Red Ranger.
No, he fires on the Yellow Ranger.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And then, oh my god.
Yeah, he basically just turns feral and starts shooting everyone. And I was like, I hope this doesn't come up very often because that's going to be, like, okay, so you're telling me that they set up Grid Battle Force. Glad the show wasn't called Power Rangers Grid Battle Force. You're telling me that they set this whole thing up and they plan to have Power Rangers and they didn't test it well enough to know that we're gonna be these major weaknesses to the powers where like you could murder your co-rangers just because you have like an animal weakness.
But that was actually when he and Zoe were fighting about who was going to be the leader.
No, that's true, but yeah, what I was gonna say is like it just makes you a major liability. Like that's a problem. You've always got to have that episode right. You've always got to have the like who's gonna be the leader or is the leader actually like worthy of being the leader. And you've got a lot of your and you've got a lot of But you know what? I like the way that wrapped up. I liked that Devin didn't want it in the first place. And he got it because the other two decided that he was most deserving of it. And I thought the way that episode ended was really good. They stick the landing in the show, I should say, more often in the morality play episodes than they do in a lot of the other recent series. The last one, I thought those got really sappy again, as I keep saying, even for Power Rangers, here, not so much. It's a little bit more like how we did it going all the way back, and maybe even a little bit more sophisticated than some of those. I liked how the bike episode resolved okay. You had this conflict where it kind of your standard environmental episode. We did this early a lot in Power Rangers series, where like third or fourth episode, it's got to be an environmental episode, right? And they're gonna build a bypass through a wooded area that's gonna put a lot of wildlife out of their homes. And Zoe's upset about this and doesn't want it to happen. And she pleads with the mayor, who we should mention is Devin's father. He's one of the best actors in the show. I think he's really good. I like him a lot. His character doesn't always add up. Like we said earlier, he comes around way too quickly on Grid Battle Force. And I should also mention, I'm jumping around, this drives me crazy. I do not understand why the Rangers have to keep their identity secret from the mayor, who is on board with Grid Battle Force and who they need his permission and his go-ahead for this whole thing to even work. Like, why are they keeping their... why are they keeping...
Just because it's Devin's dad?
Yeah, but why? I mean, it seems like just for the sake of forced drama. So, well, this is what we always do.
I've actually heard that they're going to make him... that they're gonna tell him that...
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I honestly expected it to happen in this 8. I was surprised when it didn't. So we're kind of stringing that along a little bit, and I don't love that. Like, that episode where he tried to get a job at the car wash, like, that is a real classic, superhero kind of Spider-Man thing where you're trying to juggle your personal life and your superhero life, and you can't tell your immediate loved ones because it could put them in danger and they wouldn't understand. But we do that whole thing where it's like, he doesn't appreciate his son, but he loves the Power Rangers, and if only he could tell his dad that he's a Power Ranger, he would be proud of him finally. And there's just not a good enough reason for him to have to keep it a secret from him, because he's involved with Grid Battle Force. It just doesn't make any sense to me, so I don't understand that. But anyway, so Zoe goes to him and is like, you gotta shut down this bypass. And he's like, well, I'm only gonna do that if you can come up with some other alternative for people to get around so that there are fewer cars on the road, we won't need this bypass. And she says, well, I don't run away from big problems, I solve big problems. And so, she comes up with this idea to use MorphX powered bikes, and at first I was like, oh, that's dumb, nobody's gonna ride those. And then the whole conflict in the episode is nobody's riding them. And I was like, oh yeah, that's cool, because that's what would happen. And then at the end, it becomes a fad where when the Power Rangers ride them, everybody wants to ride them, and then they're able to use them. And it sounds like a silly plot, but it worked for me in the context of the show. I thought it was kind of believable for this. So yeah, I dug that.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I'm pretty sure I don't know, but I know that Zoe has a weakness, and I think her weakness is
just being weak.
Just being weak because she's a jackrabbit, and that's why she eats carrots all the time.
Yeah. That's kind of funny. And they've continued that on. She keeps eating carrots all the time. Let me go back to some more superficial stuff. I like that we're back in cockpits for the Zords.
You love the cockpit.
I hate it when we just have Power Rangers stand around like an orb. You're just like, or their Zords do what they want by just like doing the move, and then the Zord does the move.
I like that.
Oh really? I've never cared for that.
I liked it. I really liked it in Alien Rangers.
Okay, that's fair, but I haven't liked it in anything since then.
I mean, I liked it.
I don't like it when it's your main Rangers though. It works there, okay, because they're aliens, and so it differentiates them from what our Rangers are doing.
You're right.
So I don't care for that. But I like a lot of just the differences in stuff we haven't seen a whole lot in Power Ranger shows. I like that we don't need a Megazord all the time, although maybe we'll start using it a whole lot more now that they're actually doing it, but like, the way their Zords work is cool. I like... Oh, talk about it, because this is one of my favorite things. Talk about the whole thing with the monsters not growing. That's new. The monsters don't grow. First of all, they're not monsters.
Yeah, they're not monsters. They're robots. They're Robotrons.
Yeah, robots. You see, because it sounds like Transformers.
So they make a Gigatron, and there's like an alpha, beta, gamma, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna do like delta, epsilon, zeta, epsilon, epsilon, and so, and then they make it the monster that they were fighting originally.
Yeah.
But
It's
that
of the same-
monster is usually still there.
But not only that, it's of the same theme, but it looks different.
Yeah.
So they have two totally different designs.
And one is gigantic.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. They've also had a lot of fun continuity stuff with that. They did an episode where they had to try to... They actually kept this going for a little bit, where Nate, who's the scientist guy who creates everything, sort of like Dan Tony and Spawn here. You gotta have like one guy who just makes everything. And he makes... And he gets his hands on some of the parts from one of the robots that they fight. But he can't actually get anything out of it. He can't get any technology out of it. And so then there's an episode after that where they've got to try to figure out a way to actually get one that is functioning. And just like RPM, we've got to have not just an explanation for everything, but we actually play with some of the stuff that we used to just do in Power Rangers for the sake of aesthetics. So they had to figure out, I love this so much, they had to figure out how to beat a giant robot
without making it explode.
It's awesome. And then they're able to use that technology when they get their hands on it. I thought that was great. But like, so we'll hang on to a monster over an episode. There's one where you have that what is it, Slicetron? That's like the buzzsaw monster. I think the monsters in this look really great. The robots. Yeah. They've got, and none of them have been even as silly as you usually get in Power Rangers. Like, they're silly, but they're not. They're reeled in quite a bit. And they got the Slicetron, and they beat him, and you think he's done, and then the bad guys try to get their hands on him again, and so there's this really nice sense of continuity. Like, yeah, the bad guy's basically following your standard Power Ranger formula, where like he throws the putties at you, and then there's a monster, and then there's a bigger version of the monster, but there's some nice variations on that, and it's a little bit like Mesogog and Dino Thunder, where because he doesn't have such a generic plot, and it's not just there's this thing I want to happen, but I have to beat the Power Rangers episode every episode, so I can't actually go after that thing. It's a little bit more believable, and he feels a little bit less stupid. I mean, he's not smart, but he feels a little bit less stupid, where every episode, instead of just generically, we're trying to take over the world or whatever, he's actually after something. And the reason he sends his minions is, again, because he can't get out of the dimension he's trapped in. And so he's forced to go with that formula right now because there's not much else he can do. So and again, it's a nice variation. So he keeps coming up with different ways to try to get his hands on Morphax. And once he has enough of that, he can use it to get out of that dimension. Now, what is kind of dumb is sometimes they'll get a bunch of Morphax and they'll go, wait, we don't have quite enough to do the thing we're trying to do.
We're gonna just do something else.
Yeah, so we're just going to waste every ounce of it we have on a monster, and then I have to start at square one next episode. That's the dumb thing about it, but I love the premise of just, I'm trapped in this dimension and I want to get out, because A, it makes sense that you're using minions the way you are and that you're not doing your own dirty work, and B, you are forced to fight the Power Rangers every time, not just because they're standing in your way of taking over the world or whatever, because, I mean, it's not like he's a real compelling villain. He still is just a I want to rule the world kind of monster, but at least I know what his motivation is. But also, the Power Rangers have the thing he wants, right? Like, what he's going after is their power source. And so it really puts you immediately in conflict with the heroes, and you're not just generically fighting them because they're the thing that stands in your way. So yeah, I don't know, I like that a whole lot. I just wish the dynamics between the main characters were a little bit sharper. It doesn't have that quick-wittedness of any of the Disney seasons, and that's the place where it's still kind of missing the spark, I think. That's the main problem with this show. Individually, those characters are fine, but I don't love them as a team yet.
Mm-hmm. So they don't throw bombs.
What do you mean?
And make them big.
Right. Yeah, they don't do anything to make them big. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's fun. What else do you want to talk about?
The 2 extra Rangers.
Yes! Another first, I believe, where at the end of this first part of the season, we have added both a Silver and a Gold Ranger, and I don't think that's ever happened before.
I think we had a Gold and Silver Ranger in Megaforce.
Oh, okay. Is that true?
I'm pretty sure. I know...
Okay, but it is unusual to have a 5-man team where 2 of your colors are gold and silver.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
And what's really funny is that when you were talking about that earlier, that just got my mind to Pokemon, because red, blue, yellow,
yeah.
gold, silver.
That character that becomes the Silver Ranger comes out of nowhere. And intentionally out of nowhere, but like I was jarred by that. Because already I'm like, oh, Nate's gonna be a Power Ranger. I should have seen that coming, but I didn't. I mean, he's essentially the alpha of the show. Not counting the robot buddies, because basically every character gets their own alpha in this show. I hope those other 2 don't get robot buddies, but they're probably gonna.
The Silver Ranger is basically the Gold Ranger's buddy.
Well, that's a really good point you're making.
Because he says that he wants a brother, and he's finally got a brother.
But I don't think they'll play it that way, because those 2 are each going to get their own Zord, right?
Yeah.
And the robot buddies work as the consoles of the Zord, which is dumb, because if something happens to the robot buddy, you just can't pilot your Zord. That's stupid. At the very least, have some kind of contingency where your Zord works without your robot buddy. So that's goofy. But what's his name? Steel.
Yes, Steel. Steel is my favorite character.
I still don't understand this. It is really convoluted. So yeah, this kind of character episode for Nate that I really thought was just going to be he's proving his worth to the Rangers. And by the way, I like that all of the extra characters are actually kind of useful. Like the Bulk and Skull sometimes despite themselves, but at least they're not just there to be buffoons. Like they contribute, they sometimes do a thing that's necessary. Sometimes it's even a thing they intended to do, so that's good. But it looks like it's just going to be this character piece for Nate where he's proving that he's actually got some courage and that he can... that he's self-motivated, and that he's not just going to cower behind a counter all the time. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the episode, he's a ranger. And I had no idea this was going to be, even though it's the last episode we got to see, maybe I should have expected a big story point. But I didn't, so that kind of surprised me. And he's actually the first of the Rangers to go to the villain's home base. And he's trying to stop them from making basically the Stargate that's gonna bring Evox over. And in so doing, because the machine that again, nice bit of continuity. This machine gets stolen from Nate. That is the thing that creates the Power Rangers in the first place. It's like the no. It's the thing that creates the avatars.
Oh yeah, but it's also the thing that creates the Power Rangers.
Okay, yeah, and he steals. So the kind of Goldar of the show steals that. And we're not sure why. And then finally we find out that it's to make this gate thing.
Yeah, and that's when the whole relationship with Ravi and Roxy.
Oh yeah, when she pretends like there's still good in her somewhere, and he falls for that, and they handle that okay. That's better than I would have expected. A lot of stuff in this seems like a bad idea, and then I'm like, the execution is better than I would have expected for Power Rangers.
Like the Jackrabbit.
So that's kind of, just like the Jackrabbit. So, I don't totally understand this technology, first of all. This thing that splices DNA and creates the Rangers, and also was able to be used to create duplicates, can somehow also be reverse engineered or something to take a digital being out of a digital dimension and bring it to our dimension. It's a little convoluted. I don't totally understand how that works.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Nate goes there, and he's fighting with them over that, and ends up getting turned into a Power Ranger himself. And
he has to make a robot for Evox to get into, and then
and that's how that robot gets created.
Yeah.
Right. That becomes Steel. Is that how that works?
Yep.
Okay. And then he has insect DNA because he's been collecting insects earlier in the episode, and he basically turns into Power Ranger Zorak because he gets because he gets spliced together with a praying mantis. Was it a praying mantis?
Praying mantis.
Or no, it wasn't. What was it?
It was praying mantis.
Was it a praying mantis?
It was a mantis.
I think it was a mantis.
It was a mantis.
Okay.
It was a mantis.
Anyway, so
I don't know what the other thing was. It was
so
some
then,
kind of bug.
so I'm like, I'm blown away for a second. I'm like, oh, cool. And then now he's a ranger. And then at the same time, we have a 5th ranger in the same episode. They got me with that. I didn't expect that. That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Steel is hilarious.
He's Power Ranger Tick.
Absolutely, he is. He's wonderful. He talks like the Tick. He's got this in kind of euphemisms the Tick had. He's really funny.
He talks in slang all the time.
Yeah,
the
so
Tick.
you said he was your favorite character.
Yes.
And we've only had him for half an episode. He's your favorite character already. Yeah, he's great. He could start raining on us and get on our nerves a little bit, but I think he's really funny. He's gonna be like if Ninjor was a regular Power Ranger, I think.
Yeah, because Ninjor is also... Yeah.
He's got that a little bit too. Although this guy's a lot dorkier than Ninjor.
Oh my... Yeah.
But yeah, he's great. What else didn't we bring up that we should talk about? Any other cool tech things you want to talk about, or story things, or...
Oh.
They
made a
sorry, go ahead.
projector gun.
Oh, yes. A hologram
gun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Where they can like pretend like they're a box and then...
Yeah. And then go, and then it gets the gun, boom, it's actually a Power Ranger.
I hope they get a little more ambitious with the acting. That's a big thing with me. I hope Robbie starts to grow on me more. I think he's the weak link of the show right now. I hope that we resolve the conflict between the mayor and Devin, because I don't think it's very compelling. I kind of know it's Power Rangers, but like, the show is good enough that could be more compelling than it is, and like, it's not interesting because all he has to do is tell him that he's a Power Ranger, and then that whole thing gets resolved, and there's no reason for him not to tell him to except for arbitrary rules. So I'm kind of waiting for that to happen. Things I'm wondering about. I thought that Roxy and Blaze would eventually become our 4th and 5th Rangers. And we already have 4th and 5th Rangers. So are they going to stay in comas the whole show? Or when they get woken up, are they going to also be Rangers? Or are we going to get rid of 4 and 5 and replace them with them? Or what's going to happen? There's no good reason, again, that we couldn't have 20 or 40 or 100 Power Rangers in this show, except for Sentai footage. But...
I could just like go and watch Go Busters and see if they're actually going to.
if there's more than 5 Rangers.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta assume that there's like your obligatory 6th Ranger in this, but I would assume it wouldn't be one of them because you'd think that they would bring them both back at the same time. So I'm wondering what we do with Roxy and Blaze.
But Blaze is more stronger than Roxy.
Yeah. I'm just saying that you would assume that they would both get woken up at the same time. And usually we like to play the 6th Ranger as a mystery.
Yeah.
And how do you make it a mystery when they're in a coma? They're either asleep or they're not. So I don't know. But I think it's really interesting to do a love story with a character that we've barely met and who's in a coma the whole show. Jayson, other quick random things. Don't love the theme song. I haven't liked the intros for any of these shows since the Disney era.
Yeah. I mean, I like the end when it's like Power Rangers Beast Morphers.
Yeah, that's fun. But the actual theme is just kind of generic and like Beast Morphin Light. Okay. It's nice.
No, it's Peace Morphin.
No, it's not. No, it's not. They are saying Beast Morphin Light, but the subtitles said Peace, Morph and Light, which is ridiculous and not what they're saying. Peace Morphin. I'm almost positive that's not what it actually means. I'm pretty sure it's Beast Morphin Light, but whatever. The theme song didn't get the memo that this show, as opposed to most of these, actually I guess all of the rest of these, after Mighty Morphin, does not feel the need to have the Power Rangers actually call themselves what the title of the show is. So they're not like, Beast Morphers go! You know, they don't say that kind of thing like a lot of, like all these other shows do. Like even Dino Thunder, they call themselves, they say Dino Thunder power up. But in this, they're just like generically Beast Rangers, I guess. But I like that Morphers is not in the show proper. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, but they do say like power up beast mode or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they say beast because they are, because they, they're using animal DNA, so, like, that's fine. I just like that they don't have to say...
Is a beast.
That's fair. But so I'm not a big fan of the theme song, but I like that we've minimalized the Go-Go Power Rangers part.
Yes.
Because the last few shows, it became really uniform, where basically just the back end of it had to be the standard Go-Go Power Rangers, but, like, not real well orchestrated. And in this, that's just a small part of the song, and it works okay. But I also like that in the soundtrack of the episodes, sometimes they'll use more parts of the actual original Power Rangers song that's not in the intro, and that's kind of nice. I like that.
Yeah, they do. Here's
a tiny nitpick that drives me absolutely crazy that I'm sure nobody else thought about, but I don't like it. So it's nice that this has as much of, for me, a Mighty Morphin air as it does without being a straight up Mighty Morphin ripoff again. There are parts, there are things about it that feel very Mighty Morphin, but it feels like a really, again, nice blend of a bunch of different shows. There are little things that I wish they went back to, though. Again, I wish we had more references to things, since it's all about the Morphin Grid, so it is really cool. Like, there's a name drop of Nasada from Power Rangers in Space. That's cool. But Nate's big catchphrase is phenomenal. We couldn't bring back more phenomenal? We couldn't bring it back? I mean, he's essentially the Billy of the show. It would be entirely appropriate for him to say more phenomenal. And his big catchphrase is phenomenal. Why do we do that? Anyway, that's weird.
Oh, I like the line where one of the monsters is like, it's slicing time, and then he's like, no, it's not, it's morphin' time!
It's morphin' time! We kept Ha. Ha's still around.
Yep.
I love Ha. I don't even care. But any other major stuff you want to make sure that we bring up? All right, well, thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and leave your comments. Tell us what you think about this show so far, if you've seen it. Try not to give us spoilers for any episodes past 8, because we're just watching this on Netflix, so I know that another 4 or 5 have dropped by now, but we're just going to watch them we're just going to binge it as they drop on Netflix.
Dropped already.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew they were doing a Halloween one and a Christmas one. And I think next season, or is it this season, there's supposed to be another big, anniversary special. Or if not an anniversary thing, just a reunion show.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll see Tommy again for the umpteenth time. But yeah. So we'll see what happens there. So we're planning on going to Morphicon next year, Power Morphicon again. We went 4 years ago, and this is the first time I'll be excited to maybe see actors from the current show. Because I actually like the show.
Oh, yeah.
And so, again, I don't love this cast overall, but I wouldn't mind meeting Devin, and I wouldn't mind meeting his dad. So if either of them were there, because I like them a lot. And Zoe's fine. And the avatars are fine.
I would be Roxy Zoe.
Yeah, Roxy is pretty cool. I like her. Her avatar. She's just evil right now. But anyway, I am really curious to see what they do with the actual, humans that aren't the avatars. But yeah, overall, I'm pleasantly surprised by this, or at least because I love the pilot. Like I said, it's not as good. The rest of it is not as good as I thought the pilot was. But overall, I'm pleasantly surprised because Power Rangers has not been much fun to watch for me in a lot of years. So, what are you gonna say?
Oh yeah, Steel has human DNA.
Yes, and that's why he's a robot that can morph. I'm sure that's the first time that's happened too. I don't know. Somebody can tell us.
It is the first.
A lot of either first in the show or the first time I've noticed certain things.
Yeah, because I don't remember a lot of stuff in Power Rangers when I watched.
Well, yeah. Well, anyway, once again, thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you again next time. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Jayson.
Later, folks.